have been joined by two people that we met I met, I think that you knew some people already, but I just recently met these two gentlemen, and you were watching some very serious Facebook stalking that I did. I went and got all these pictures from your social media sites. So gentlemen, I'll let you introduce yourselves. Go ahead, Keith.
I'm Keith James, #1 advocate. Some of y'all may know me. Future mayor, future president. But yeah, I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Okay, thank you, Adil.
And I'm Adil, Ismaaeel, author of Breaking Borders and founder of Greatness Travels, the travel guy.
Okay, so yeah, we did put that together, and you know, we wanted to put you guys together because you're friends, and we just want to have a little conversation. So tell us a little bit about, you have this book, you wrote this book. Tell us about your background, because I think it's important to talk about your background, and this candidacy that you're going to have in the next couple of years.
I wrote my first book, From Dope to the White House, and it released in August 3rd actually, and the book just talks about some of the adversities that I went through as a young child, experiencing drug addiction at a young age. Started 15, was exposed to selling drugs. 16, found myself in a heroin, Xanax type of addiction, and from there, you know, I knew that there was so much more that I could be, and I just didn't know how to tap into it. And so it kind of talks about the mindset of where I was at as those experiences happened, and how I used that to kind of, you know, just bounce back and be to where I'm at now. And you know, I wanted to be on my brother Adil because on the back of my book it actually says when you realize what is happening to you isn't an accident, you can start living on purpose. And what a lot of people don't know is that actually was inspired after reading the first chapter of his book. So while we're in this book writing process, I'm calling him, you know, where do I do when I'm stuck here? What do I do when I'm stuck here? And we just were sitting at the community center, and I read that book, and I was just like, he said, what do you think? And that quote is what actually came out. So I think it's safe to say that we bounce a lot of ideas off each other, share a lot of energies, travel together, and yeah, I'm just happy that the guys blessed me with enough to be able to put into a book, and then hopefully be able to do a couple more.
Okay.
Now, you just shared something that's key that I think some of the parents out there, if it's kids watching, whatever, should hear. When you said you was at a low moment, you wanted to get to that next spot, you wanted to get there. And a lot of these kids look like there's no hope. I'm in this situation, my parents might be alcoholics on drugs, my neighborhood is bad, and there's no hope, and they give out and they go to the negative. You was already here and went up to here. So what was it? Was it yourself? We know God always play a big part of it, but I think your answer is something that they might be searching for that just don't know.
Honestly, it came with a mentality to stop caring what people really think about you. You know what I mean? I had to be okay with people not accepting my story. Like when I came out with this book, you know, some of the comments were, you know, oh, he was on drugs, I'd never vote for somebody like that. And they'll use that. They won't vote for somebody who used to be an addict. They won't vote for somebody who has a mental illness. Those things, and it's just like, well, we kind of have to change the trend. So for me, I just had to look inside and say, do I love myself the way I am, regardless of what anybody else thinks of me, and being very comfortable with that. I like my phone, everything. Like I have everything around me that addresses me. My Siri will address me as Mr. President.
That's awesome.
And I say that because you have to speak life into, like, so many people will speak death on you and speak death on what you want to be successful in, but you can't allow it to stop you. And one of the main things is, you know, even still, I worked for United Way for 2 years. And even I felt like my image was more important than who I was. And I had to take a step back and say, have I been investing into this image, or have I been investing into my personal growth? And I didn't like the outcome of that evaluation. And so that's when I took a step back, kind of stepped out of the Wilmington scene for a while, and started traveling more with my partner right here. And he took me to Letchworth State Park in New York. We took some kids to Atlanta, and I'm telling you, just like you ever stood on top of a waterfall? Like literally, we're hanging off of a waterfall and just talking about life with 10 kids from the city of Wilmington. So, and that, I think, traveling, that opened my eyes up to now there's so much more to the world. And since he took me on that one trip, I visited 16 new states. You know what I mean? So I definitely have to, you know, credit, you know, the getting clean part to God. And the staying clean part to, you know, exposure to traveling, and just, you know, continue to not care what people think about me and loving myself and following what God wants for me.
Okay. So Adil, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, where do I start? Raised in Wilmington, played tennis. I love to travel, and just having that exposure.
Where did the love of travel come from?
Started my business, Greatness Travels, in 2014. And once I started the business, I hadn't traveled much and I realized that I had to start to travel. And as I started to travel, I'm like, oh, this is something that everyone really needs. And as I traveled more, I saw the benefits of travel, which helped me say, you know what, I have a passion for my community. I have a passion for helping people. And travel is one way that can help people go on to the next thing that they need to do, find new opportunities and things that are available to them. And that just opened my world up, and that's what has led me on this journey further, and wanting to help people, improve people's lives. And it's just,
Now, here's my question for you.
Yeah.
This is another one. Parents, youth, here's another question. I traveled too. When I was in competition, I traveled and I learned so much. And I was always saying the youth, is so important for them to get their academics together, because when they travel, they learn so much from the different cultures and everything else. And also, we see television all the time. We see violence in this country, this and that country, and I'm not going to travel because of X, Y, and Z. And those are not true. So can you elaborate to them about the benefits of education, how it can help you when you're traveling, from counting money, how they change the euros, et cetera, to the taste of the food could be different, and everything you see on TV about other countries is not really true.
All right, so the education part, I'm on the other end of it. So I think education through travel is amazing. It's one of the best ways you can learn, is you get your education while you're traveling. And also getting your education abroad. There's education opportunities around the world that we don't know about, parents, that you can literally pay a fraction of the cost abroad, literally, and get 10 times a better quality education, or just as good, that will meet the same qualifications to get employed. But the other thing of having education before you travel, when you travel, as opportunities come to you, you're able to then take advantage of those opportunities, employment opportunities and things like that. And also, if you have your education, of course, you're able to conduct yourself a certain way while you're abroad. But then you have to think about it, the rest of the world, how much of the world is actually educated on that level. You're going to kind of look like, unless you got to travel, you have to be aware of how you travel, because you can be looked at as a tourist, and then that's when they beat you upside the head.
We were looking at some pictures. We put together some things. So tell us about some of the places you visited.
So on my last trip, I went to Egypt, Italy, and Morocco. I was in Morocco for 3 weeks, which was an incredible experience. I was staying with a gentleman, Farouk Hunter, who I featured in my book. He's a genius in his own right. The guy is incredible, and he taught me a lot while I was on that, staying with him in Morocco and Egypt. It was so serious, where we were like in the hotel room with a marker, some out of movie, on the window, like writing like formulas on the wall. Like, it was that crazy. So it was things like that I was doing. I had the honor of staying with someone who's who does some amazing work around the world, capturing content around the world, with just all the people that I met while I was traveling was incredible. So Morocco, Egypt, Italy, and then Morocco before. So.
Do you have any upcoming trips planned?
I do. I'm planning. Don't quote me, guys, but because it changes. It literally changes. I'm planning to take a cruise. That's solidified. But everything else is like it goes by air. So I'm planning to go to Trinidad and Haiti. I'm going to go and learn the history and culture of Haiti, and a little bit of Trinidad. But then after that, I'm looking to go to West Africa and connect with some people there in West Africa, and just examine the things that's going on in Africa, in the continent, and see how we can benefit by it and how we can benefit the continent, and also just see what the opportunities are available to us there, so that we can continue to develop. Because that's my whole thing with travel, is growth and development and learning, education, learning through travel.
You did say one thing I wanted to point out, or kind of highlight, and that is, we have these young people who are in school, they might be in college, and at that point in your life, at that point in their development, there are very few other times that they will have the chance to live in a different country for 4 to 6 months completely, and within, like, you have money for college anyway, so you might have to pay a program fee, but other than that, there's no other time. Once you're 25, 27, 30, then you have to work, then you have a family.
Yeah.
But when you're in college, you can pick up and go and live someplace else, and it's completely different. You're smiling.
No, yeah, because that's what I got from.
Yeah.
That's what he taught me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You don't want to buy it. You don't necessarily have to buy a house and stay here for so long. There's kids in Wilmington who've never been to a Blue Rocks game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
crazy.
So,
Yeah.
so like just like literally sitting on top of that waterfall with my bro right here and just talking about like, yo, like, imagine what it's gonna be like when I want to be in the White House, or imagine what it's like when we're gonna go here and things like that. It just shows you that we have limited ourselves, and the only limits that like really stop only thing that stops us is ourselves. You know, like it was like a matter of, do you want to take this 5-hour drive or not? You know what I mean? That's all it was. Do you want to come with me or not? And if I would have said no,
Right.
I would have missed a great
Right.
experience. Like you hit it right on the ball.
And one thing I can say to the parents who are watching, you know, let your children have the opportunity to travel when they graduate high school. Like, give them an opportunity to travel and let them do whatever they want for a year. Because a lot of students, they go into college and they waste that first year, 2 years anyway, because they don't know what they want to do. So they're wasting a bunch of time because they don't know what to do, what they want out of life. Let them go and experience some different cultures, some history, some different buildings. I don't know, something different, some different tech food, as you mentioned earlier.
Clothing, everything.
Clothing, everything. And allow them to experience that. And then if they want to come back and go to college, then they can come back and go to college.
You know, the funny thing is, outside of the United States, that gap year is more prevalent. Like my niece and nephew it's in their mind as an assumption that they're going to have a gap year.
Right.
You know, and me as their aunt, I'm like, oh, you know, and I know that it's good, it's fine, it's really, and I'm not their parent, but I'm like, they're thinking, well, in my gap year, I want to come to Delaware, and in my gap year, and I'm like, all right, cool, do that.
Let them experience what they know.
But there was when you were talking about the travel and the when a student gets to that other place and they come back, have you ever experienced any, like when you come back, what is your state of mind when you come back to the United States?
Confused.
Okay, that's what I was going for. That's what I was going for.
Every time I'm confused. I'm confused right now. I just came back a week and a half ago. So I learned so much that your brain is like, okay, how do I readjust
How do
and
you focus
fit
this
everything
into,
that I
right.
learned back into this life that I have? But you find that way. You literally will find that way. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm literally finding my way right now. I've only been back for about a week and a half, so I'm finding it. But it happens to me every single time I go away. And this time I was away for a month, and that was the longer I've ever been. So it's just like, wow. But yeah, you find it. You're confused, but you find it.
Yeah. Keith, really quick, I want to get back just for a second to this book and find out. I'm going to hold this up. Is that okay, Dave? I'm just going to hold this up.
Oh, and I got one of the first copies.
Yeah, and you got it signed.
I got one of the first copies.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. The president signed. Signed it for me.
But are you working on any other books?
Yes, actually, I have 2 more concepts that I'm praying on, making sure that it's the right thing. But the concepts are from, I guess we can give it to them, from war to creation. Because I believe the opposite of war is not peace; it is creation. So it talks about me pretty much being at war with myself, and as I getting tired through this battle and this long war of addiction, I realized that, well, I'm the creator of all of these experiences anyway. And so now, if I want a better outcome, I just have to put more love into what I'm creating. So I have a concept with that to go deeper into the battle, the spiritual battle of with myself. And then the other concept is from addiction to love, which pretty much just talks about how I was addicted to the idea of wanting a father in my life because I grew up without a father, then the addiction to drugs, then addicted to love, and then now I'm addicted to loving. So it just kind of talks about like the transitions and the thought process that I went through with that. But and the one thing I'll add is I guess this book right here really talks about the whole outline of what Adil was just telling you. And it's really that experience is your greatest teacher. You're not going to get the whole world in a textbook. Everything is not just written. And then makes me think about my favorite quote. When we go through an experience that doesn't match with the word of God, we disregard of the experience and own the word. And what that tells me is now we need to be really owning our experiences. Our experiences are our greatest teacher. I never regret ever being on drugs because it gave me the mindset that I have now. I don't regret going out and saying that I want to be the president 2032, putting myself on Front Street as far as exposing my flaws. Because at the end of the day, we all have flaws. And if anybody else, any other candidate, any other person wants to lie and pretend that they haven't had any type of addictive issues, haven't ever had any fall downs, haven't had to get back up 1,000 times, then those aren't the people that I even want to be associated with anyway. So I'm kind of just real about my story, and I embrace my adversity, and I don't let any of that stop me from just continuing to grind. I'm going to fail, I'm going to make mistakes, but the thing is, you can always count on me to get back up and come back 10 times harder. The bounce back is real.
Go ahead and show your book. Can you show your book for me?
Yeah, of course, of course.
And that is Breaking Borders.
This is the pose I did in Egypt.
That's Breaking Borders. And where can we find your books, gentlemen?
You want to go first?
Amazon.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. I don't like to point to Amazon.
Okay.
I'm like, thank you. But you can find my copy of my book on either greatnesstravels.com or greatnesstravels.com or webuyblack.com.
Okay.
And you can also find it on Amazon if you want to go there, but it's a little higher.
All right. Well, gentlemen, did you have anything else?
Well, I just want to say, Wilmington, these gentlemen are here, and they gave a lot of good points about from travel, drugs, raising with no father. So there's no excuse for anyone out there. So I'm honored to have the both of you here, young men here in Wilmington, and if you can find them, take advantage of what they're telling you.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I say
And
one more thing?
Huh?
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, absolutely.
I just wanted to say, the decisions you make today can literally affect those of tomorrow.
The rest of
decisions
your life.
The rest of your life for hundreds of years, thousands of years. So be careful of the decisions you make. Not be careful, but be mindful. Be mindful of the decisions you make.
Absolutely.
Because it can literally shift the world.
Yes.
Literally.
True.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Well,
We'd also